All right, we'll come about 5 blocks over to 114 West 7th Street. And I told you that the question that I was going to be looking at next is what happened to the doppelganger once they snuck him out the back of the Texas Theater. So we've come back south a little bit, and we're right over close to Beckley again. If I can blow that up, you can see. We're back almost to where all this began at Oswald's rooming house. Okay, so we're right here on the corner of Beckley and 7th, and there's a garage here, or there was a garage here. It was called Mac Pate's Garage, and it was here at 114 West 7th Street. And it was across the street from a restaurant called El Chico's. That is no longer there. It is now a CVS pharmacy. But that's where El Chico's was. You said, what's all this got to do with the doppelganger? T.F. White was a 60-year-old mechanic who worked here at Mac Pate's Garage. And while he was working, he heard police sirens screaming up and down Davis Street. Davis Street is behind me. That's actually Zang. Davis is one street up, intersection with Zang. And anyway, and of course there's Beckley, and police cars are running up and down Beckley. They're everywhere around here. That's my point. He hears all these police sirens. He also, because he's listening to the radio, kind of like Johnny Brewer was, heard radio reports describing a suspect that they thought was lurking around in Oak Cliff. They're looking for Lee Harvey Oswald. The J.D. Tippit fake wallet has done its work, and they have an all points bulletin out with a name, an alias, and a description. And he's somewhere in Oak Cliff. This is right before. Now, of course, what T.F. White does not know yet is that they've already arrested him at the Texas Theater. So he, at about 2 o'clock, and of course they arrested him at 1:45. So this is 15 minutes after the arrest. T.F. White is working, and he notices a red 1961 Falcon sitting over here at El Chico's. It's across the street, and there's a driver in the car. And he just kind of keeps an eye. You can see the garage doors empty out right onto the street. So if you've ever been around garages, you know the doors are always open. And he's working in those garage bays, but he can look right across the street, and he can see this red Falcon, 1961 Falcon. And according to White, the man in the car appeared to be hiding. He was acting suspicious. So T.F. White is just kind of keeping an eye on him, watching him. And after his lunch break, White points out this car and the driver to his boss, Mac Pate. Now, I don't know if he was parked right there in front of the building. He's probably parked out here somewhere. But he points him out to Mac Pate. Pate tells White, keep an eye on him, because he had heard a radio report of an assassination attempt against JFK the day before in Houston involving a red Falcon. Oh, that's a new angle. Anyway, White eventually walked across the street from this garage. He walks across the street to get a closer look. And he looks into the car, and the driver, who was wearing a white t-shirt, turns and looks at White full face. Quote, full face, that's what T.F. White said. And the two stared at each other for a moment. As he turned and began walking back to his workplace, coming back across the street, White wrote down the license plate number, PP 4537, and he put it in his pocket. Later that night, White's watching TV, just like Bernie Hare was, and saw Lee Harvey Oswald's image on TV and recognized him immediately as the man he saw sitting in the driver's seat of the red Falcon. Oh my goodness. So what he had just seen was the doppelganger sitting across the street in this red Falcon, in that white t-shirt, which, if you remember, Oswald was arrested wearing a white t-shirt, so he was even dressed the same. Putting the TV timeline together, White realized by the time he saw his Oswald in the driver's seat of the red Falcon, the real Oswald was sitting in a Dallas jail cell, because he realized he'd been arrested at 1:45. All of this happened. He first saw him after 2 o'clock, and so It was after Oswald had been arrested and taken downtown. All right, enter into the story Wes Wise. Wes Wise was a Dallas newscaster, and T.F. White told this story to Wes Wise on December 4th, 1963. It's about 2 weeks after the assassination. And White gave Wise the license number. Remember the PP 4537. And Wise, because he has the capacity in his job to do so, tracked down the plate. Turns out it belonged to a man named Carl Amos Mather of 4309 Colgate Street, lived in Garland, Texas. So the suspicion was, well, maybe the car was stolen. Wise next learned that Mather did high security work for, guess who? The CIA. That was his job. He worked for the CIA. So this car belonged to a CIA agent. And Oswald, the doppelganger, is sitting in this car owned by a CIA agent. Wise also, as he begins to look at the network of the Mathers, he's found out who he works for, and then he finds out he's best friends with Officer J.D. Tippit. So the conclusion is J.D. Tippit was killed by an Oswald double, who was later seen slinking along after he escaped from the Tippit scene in an alleyway behind the Texaco station, then slinking along East Jefferson, then taken out the back, then sneaking into the Texas Theater. All of the Dallas police descends on the Texas Theater to arrest Oswald out the front, the real one, the main floor, and this fake one who went up to the balcony escapes out the back with Dallas police. He was in handcuffs, but the next time he's seen publicly, he's sitting at this, what was a Mexican restaurant in a parking lot in a red Falcon, 1961 red Falcon, wearing that white t-shirt. And T.F. Pate, what was his name? T.F., so many names in my head. T.F. White saw him. Looked at him full face. So that's not the end of the story, okay? Because there's more to the story about what happened to him past this point. He's clearly waiting for somebody, and this was his rendezvous point for his next leg of the journey, which we will talk about the next leg of the journey later. But because of T.F. White, we now know that the guy who was arrested and taken out the back was not taken into custody. Of course, we already knew that. But he's actually sitting free as a bird in this red 1961 red Falcon across the street, back of his garage where he's working, waiting for somebody, clearly, hiding, trying to stay out of view. And you would too if you were the Oswald doppelganger. It's not safe to look like Oswald in this period of time in this city. So there's something coming next to get him to safety, because clearly they've made a decision not to kill him. They had him in custody. They could have killed him. They've made a decision not to kill him. So that means they're making a decision to do something with him. So that's what comes next. But thanks to T.F. White, we now know that there's more to the story with the Oswald doppelganger. Meanwhile, all this time, the real Oswald is sitting in an interrogation room, being interrogated down at Dallas Police Headquarters by Dallas Police. And there's this doppelganger running around all over Dallas, has been in the lead up to this whole time, and is still at large. Okay, thank you.